Time whistle goes. Michael ONeill and Martin ONeill shake hands. John Giles joined us for the evening. Sorry about that, John.
Okay, Nathan.
How do you describe that?
Well, from our point of view, I mean, from the Republic's point of view, you couldn't take an awful lot from it. I thought Northern Ireland were very good. Certainly deserved to win the match, Nathan. But played well, you know, they were able to link up together, be close to each other. Because sometimes, like, if you get just reasonable players, one makes it easy for the other. And I thought Northern Ireland did that tonight. And we didn't. We made an awful lot of changes in the game. And it's hard to really sum up. But you couldn't say it was good to watch. And you couldn't say there was a lot to be learned from it. So it wasn't. I wouldn't take anything really positive from it from our point of view. I think Michael ONeill had a lot more to take from the game than we did.
We might get on to Northern Ireland then and what Michael ONeill is trying to do and the changes he's trying to implement under a bit of pressure with results not going well, but trying to play a bit more of an attractive style of football. From an Irish point of view, the team and the style and the tactics tonight seem quite similar to what we've seen over the last month and probably what will go to Denmark. 3 at the back. Okay, he brought in John Egan and Darragh Lenihan and rewarded them, and they both had a difficult enough night. But you look across the midfield and the wing-backs, Coleman, Hendrick, Whelan, Brady, O'Dowda, McLean. Okay, Glenn Whelan's retiring, but they're experienced international players.
Yeah, you'd expect more from them.
At home.
Nathan. Yeah, you would expect more of them. I thought O'Dowda actually was our best player in the first, certainly best midfield player. Robbie Brady's coming back from an injury, and he didn't look quite match fit. To be honest, Jeff Hendrick didn't get into the game. So, like, we don't have an awful lot in midfield anyway. So, like, you'd want Hendrick playing well. You'd want Robbie Brady back to full fitness and playing as well as we know he can play. I think O'Dowda's okay. I mean, I think, again, Robinson did well. I think Robinson will be a player for us. He looked lively up front. He didn't get much support, Nathan, really, in the match, which centre forwards really need support. But whatever he had to do or whatever he got to do, he looked okay. I think he will be a player.
Darren Randolph was man of the match. He made 3 or 4 very good saves where they were cleared through on goal. It was 1-on-1, made himself big, saved his country, gets Ireland away with a draw. But they dominated possession. Northern Ireland came to Dublin and had almost 2/3 of the possession.
They were much better than us. Like, we got away with it on the night. You know, again, people said, Martin ONeill said, well, look, we're having trying young lads on as a game. We weren't beaten. But I wouldn't have taken an awful lot of positives from that game. Again, I don't mean to repeat myself now. I think Northern Ireland and Michael ONeill had a lot more to take from the game, more encouragement. They played as a team. They made a lot of changes as well. But there was always somebody supporting the ball. There was always somebody getting on the ball. We looked straggly, you know, like you come to...
And how are they doing that? Because a lot of people will have seen and remember Northern Ireland at Euro 2016, where they achieved some brilliant results, were, I don't want to say very negative, but were very much built on a solid defensive structure, not conceding goals. It wasn't exciting to watch at all. Whereas watching them over the couple of games in the Nations League so far, watching them tonight, it seems as though they've made a conscious decision of actually, if we want to achieve something now, we need to be able to hold on to possession. We need to be able to keep the ball in midfield. How have they done that?
Well, that's the influence of the manager. Obviously, the manager has to influence everything. So I'd say there's no doubt having established what he established in the team would be to get a little bit more creativity into it. And you see, I think when the team is encouraged to support each other, again, I said before the kick-off, you know, in football, you only get into trouble when you have nobody to give the ball to. So if you get the players playing and getting into position to receive the ball, they don't have to be great players, Nathan. You know, if you only have to pass the ball 10 or 12 yards to a colleague, that's what you do. But that doesn't happen overnight. That doesn't happen by accident. They're encouraged to get close to each other, to get near each other, to hold the ball and do all the various things that they did. You know, we're still straggly, I would call it.
Yeah, and that was noticeable as well tonight, and that's been a constant trait, probably maybe over a decade, but certainly over the last 3 or 4 years and the last 12 months when results have been particularly poor. bad errors when players are in possession of the ball, in and around midfield. And that happened again. 2 or 3 of Northern Ireland's chances came tonight when Robbie Brady had the ball in midfield. There was nobody really near him, no great pressure, but also probably didn't have any options. He turned back, he went for a ball back to a centre half, left it slightly short, and they get in.
There's no excuse for that, Nathan. That's just bad play. So whether there's somebody supporting them or not, you don't give the ball away the way we did. And in the second half, the same when we let them through. That is bad play. And actually, there's nothing the manager can do about that. I mean, there's other forms of play, the general play, where you can support each other, which Northern Ireland did, somebody to give it to. But when you see mistakes, bad mistakes like that, you can't legislate for that. That's just bad play that the players shouldn't do. They shouldn't be caught in possession like that. So that's they call it individual errors now. Well, everything on a pitch is individual errors. But our players seem to make more individual errors
in an Ireland team than they do when they're playing with their club team.
Yeah, well, to be fair, you can't put that down to the manager.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's bad play. And maybe on playing in the club team, Nathan, we don't see as much of them as we do playing for the Irish team. But like, bad play is bad play, bad mistakes, bad mistakes. I mean, like, the best manager in the world couldn't get Brady to do what he did or not do what he did on the night. That's up to the individual players to do that.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the best side of it, Nathan, here. You know?
I was going to say, the problem is we seem to be having the same conversation. It's not getting...
No, we haven't played well.
It's not getting any better.
We haven't. And tonight was a bit of a practice match, there's no doubt. It was a non-competitive match. But you'd still look for something to be happening in the team, you know, something better to be happening in the team. So,
Like, do you respond? Martin O'Neill's in a difficult position because there's not the depth that was previously there. He's looking around on the bench and there's players who aren't even playing Premier League football, who aren't playing Championship football. He's having to look tonight, Ronan Curtis coming off the bench, playing his club football with Portsmouth at the moment. And it's hard then when Jeff Hendrick, say, isn't performing in an Ireland jersey, say to drop him and say, what you're doing isn't good enough.
No, well, he hasn't played well for Ireland for a while. But if you look at the Northern Ireland team tonight, there was no outstanding stars for them, Nathan. But as a unit, they were better. You know, so it means that you'd have to say, well, they're better organised than we were, and have been. Like, tonight is a different match because a lot of changes made in the game. They made a few changes as well. But there's no doubt that the way they have played in recent times, Northern Ireland, with similar resources to us.
Well, lesser resources, arguably.
Resources. They have played as a team better than we have played. There's no doubt about it.
We've had Michael O'Neill on the show on a couple of occasions and spoken to him about the structure that they seem to have and the organisational levels. And listen, every manager is different, and Martin O'Neill can point to his record and say he's had a more successful career than Michael O'Neill has. But what O'Neill does, he comes in on Monday and he more or less names his team on the Monday because he feels, I don't have a huge amount of training sessions. These are my 11. Okay, some players are going to be unhappy with that and they're there for the week, but suck it up, train well, maybe get in next time. But these are my 11 and we are going to spend the entire week testing these 11 in their positions so that when they go on the pitch, everybody knows exactly what's happening. Well, it sounds like it's the complete opposite to what Martin O'Neill is doing.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but what can happen, everybody knows what's going to happen in the training session. You don't actually know what's going to happen on a Saturday, but you can be organised. You can be organised on the basic things. And what I noticed with Northern Ireland tonight, for the corner kicks, all the basic stuff you can have. Free kicks for, free kicks against, throw-ins for, throw-ins against. Right? If you go back over a period of time, say with the Irish team, Scotland, remember a couple of years ago, short corner did us. Denmark in last year did us on the short corner. That should never happen. In other words, when you're managing, my take on managing a team, you do everything that they shouldn't do. You know, in other words, we get a corner kick, we never allow them to take a short corner. And when we get a corner kick, we want to take advantage of them. And that's like a turnover in rugby. Because why can't we score up in a short corner and we don't let them show up in a short corner? Throw-ins, for example. I noticed with the Irish team playing, every throw-in is a long throw and down the line.
that takes a minute to take when James McLean picks it up, but he's not allowed to take the throw-ins. He has to wait for the full back to come.
That's a basic. That's how you get a tempo going. Quick, free kick. Get a ball down quickly. Nearest on the ball, get a go. That sets a tempo. That's only common sense. Corner kicks, you get 2 out on it straight away, automatically. If it's not on, then it's not on, right? If it is on, then you take advantage of the opposition. That's a tempo in what they do. I mean, and I think we were talking in the Wales match when we were beaten 4-1. We got a free kick in the first 5 minutes of the match. I think it was 35, 40 yards from our goal. And everybody put it down, went up the pitch and waited for Randolph to come out and take it. Now that tells you something straight away. It tells you that the players are not being encouraged to get it down and they're playing. That's a tempo, particularly when you're playing at home. You know, when you say, well, I'm playing at home, quick throw in, get it done, get free kicks, get on it, corner kicks, smartness, being alive all the time. You know, that's what sets the tempo. Now, there's no doubt Northern Ireland are better at us than that, and that's nothing to do with the players' ability. That's getting organised, getting do it. And you say Michael ONeill, when he's with the he gets the 11 players to play. But when you have to do with that, Nathan, as well, that you have a bigger squad of 18 players, but you include them, the lads, say a fullback, say there's Christie and there's Doherty. Yeah. Now, if you're doing something with Christie, you have to be doing it with Doherty. In other words, Doherty has to know.
So that, when needed.
When needed. So that's preparation. So, like you said, Michael ONeill gets the 11 that he's going to play. I agree with that. And you work with them. But while you're doing that, you have the centre-backs that's not playing, the full-backs that's not playing, the midfield players, and you tell them, if you watch what we're doing here or see what we're doing here, that's what you do when you come into the team. You can't isolate the guys
who aren't involved
on that particular morning. And because I think it's right to get the players in that's going to play.
Yeah.
You have to be careful a little bit on that, in that when it comes near the Friday night. But if you've done it all week, that's the team and everybody accepts it. But what I was always worried about was naming the team too early, that somebody goes down with the flu or something overnight, Nathan. But there again, the lads that are coming in have been doing what the first choices were doing anyway. So it's see,
Martin O'Neill will counter that and go, by naming the team an hour beforehand, it doesn't matter if somebody comes down with the flu the night before, because, you haven't selected your team anyways.
Well, if we believe that's what he does, well, I can't understand that, right? Because, I mean, some of the drastic things we've heard over the years, McGeady, one of the matches, the first time he knew he was playing middle and midfield was, well, that's non-preparation, there's no doubt about that.